Hello, my name's Chris and welcome to the HorrorScreams VideoVault. Now, did you know that your chances of being attacked and killed by a shark increase the closer you get to water? Apparently it's true, it's something I've heard. Did you also know that shark movies are now a staple of many different genres of film, from horror and thriller all the way through to slasher and even sci-fi? The Great White now being up there with the Xenomorph and a certain Mr. Kruger, as one of the most recognisable and most terrifying villains in cinema history. The irony there, of course, being that sharks, generally speaking, are actually quite classic. So while many shark movies like the 70s classic Jaws, and to give a more modern example, Deep Blue Sea, capture the zeitgeist to an extent and live long in the memory, other shark movies are simply forgotten or are hardly seen at all in the first place. Some are simply terrible with awful CGI and even more questionable acting. Others are actually pretty good and they just don't get the attention they deserve, overshadowed as they are by bigger, higher budget movies, I guess. So that's our focus for today. We're looking at 10 shark films you've probably never even seen. Right then, so let's crack on. Now, debut entry in what somehow became a franchise, Mega Shark vs Giant Octopus, is a movie which very definitely wears its heart on its sleeve, if sharks wore t-shirts, or even had arms for that matter. Now, when a series of inherently unlikely cataclysmic events frees our titular antagonists from their Captain America-esque slumber, let's just say they've woken up hungry, destroying submarines, airliners and battleships with equal abandon as they do hapless humans, basically. Now, the best way to destroy these nautical nasties, the Japanese and American governments formulate a plan working together in typical kaiju style, their plan being simply let the beasts kill each other. Not very inspiring, but hey, whatever works. Now, while the plot may be fairly generic and the CGI questionable at best, Mega Shark vs Giant Octopus is actually a pretty fun movie, let's be honest. It's not putting on airs and graces, it's not trying to be something out of the ordinary, it's not taking itself seriously whatsoever, it's just mindless fun. Give it a watch. They're trying something different, you've got to give them that. To be fair, for a Sci-Fi Channel original movie, Ghost Shark isn't terrible. The acting is fairly impressive, and the premise itself very unique, very fun. After a great white shark, obviously, is tortured and ultimately killed by a group of arsehole redneck fishermen, its remains end up in a cave which was, wait for it, formerly an ancient Indian burial ground, because of course it was. So now transformed into a ghostly apparition, the shark is able to appear at will anywhere where water is present. Now this presents the filmmakers with a lot of unique, whether intentionally or unintentionally amusing opportunities to showcase this shark. So it comes out of a bath at one point, it appears on a kid's slip and slide toy at another, and the best one is when the shark appears out of a good old fashioned bucket of water. Again, like as I said, the premise is unique and it's fun. Ghost Shark is an unashamed B-movie. It knows exactly what it's doing. It's not looking to win any Oscars, which is probably a good job. Showcasing the requisite amount of blood, guts, one-liners and bikinis. You can actually do a lot worse than Ghost Shark. Give it a go, give it a chance. So then, The Deep, a film based on the novel of the same name by author Peter Benchley, the guy responsible for the creation of another famous shark story, whose name, I'm not mentioning it, I won't do it. I'll give you a clue though, it rhymes with claws. So when a vacationing couple discover a hoard of hidden treasure at the bottom of the ocean, they set off to have it appraised by an expert and have it evaluated and valued, that kind of thing. They also learn that not only have they stumbled upon said treasure, but also a huge stash of pure morphine. So a dive is hastily arranged to recover this potentially valuable commodity from the ocean floor, and many different parties get involved. It becomes a thriller with intrigue and backstabbing and double crossing, and also a fair amount of voodoo thrown in there for good measure as well. So under the water we go. Our protagonists are there, the tension ramps up, and we're finally greeted, we're finally shown the villain of the piece, a huge eel. It's a massive moray eel. The Deep isn't actually a shark film at all. Sorry about that. So, when a group of oversexed but woefully underprepared university students decide to take a trip to a private lake for the weekend, fun and frolics abound until things take a decidedly bitey turn. Now, with a creative team comprising alumni from the likes of Final Destination, Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Hostel, I mean, you can kind of see where this is going. After one of the group is attacked and nearly killed by a shark which is inexplicably housed within that private lake, it transpires that the shark has been placed there by a group of Shark Week enthusiasts who just want to capture footage and see university students or visitors to the site be killed and eaten and maimed, I guess, by the sharks. With a decent cast, solid acting, modest production values, and as we mentioned, a lot of talent behind the camera, Shark Night is definitely worth a watch, especially if you're in the mood for some good old carnage and some good old screaming. Right, so this entry is going to be a little bit different. We're bringing it down a little. Soul Surfer is not a horror film in the traditional sense. It is more of a heartwarming, feel-good, tearjerker of a family film almost, about determination, about faith, about the human capacity to overcome seemingly insurmountable odds. It does just so happen to feature though the most realistic, the most visceral and downright horrific portrayal of a shark attack ever committed to cinema, in my opinion. As this film is based on a true and truly horrific real-life story, jump scares and looming threat and danger are not really the order of the day here, but a desire to do justice and honour the real people involved in this very definite human tragedy. So for this reason, the shark attack in the film, and especially the aftermath of the attack itself, is truly difficult to watch, and is one of the most harrowing scenes and harrowing sequences of film you'll ever see in years. This film is a story of a young girl destined to one day become a champion surfer, who has to overcome terrible life-changing injuries with the love and support of her friends and family and everyone around her. As I said, it is ultimately a feel-good film. But for that reason, the fact that it isn't a horror film makes the attack scene and makes that sequence of cinema all the more horrific for it. Right, well, following that brief emotional interlude, I'm sure Baked 3D will get us back on track. So, when a grocery store is submerged underwater because of a freak tsunami, see, we're back baby, its ragtag collection of occupants must work together to overcome or at least survive a pack of hungry, snarling, can sharks snarl? I don't know, answer on the postcard, great whites circling around them. Now the cast itself is made up of your usual assortment of characters. So you have your quiet, nervous everyman, the shy, thoughtful ones, and of course the resident knobhead. Filmed in 3D, many of the shots have that kind of the abundance of gore and severed heads and guts and viscera will be flying toward the camera more often than not, which just to be fair adds to the already present kind of ew factor in this gory movie. So it may look like just another throwaway, low-budget, infinitely skippable shark fest, but in fairness, Baked 3D is actually a solid, entertaining, fun and gory B-movie, which you should definitely check out. Give it a look. Known as simply Hammerhead, or the unintentionally hilarious Sharkman in certain territories, Hammerhead Shark Frenzy is just an absolute delight of a movie, but for all the wrong reasons. So the film sees Dr. Preston King attempting to save the life of his terminally ill son Paul by splicing his DNA with that of a hammerhead shark. Now, do you know how long hammerhead sharks live? No? Well, according to a particular line of dialogue in the movie, no one does. Not even kidding, no one does. Convinced of the righteousness of his actions then, the good doctor proceeds to transform his own son into what can only be described as a massive, ridiculous shark monster. He then, if that's not bad enough, he then sends him to an island to mate, I guess, with the populace, thus creating more massive, ridiculous shark monsters. The acting is awful. One particular standout line is a lady who says, "Oh God, these shoes are ruined." The effects are genuinely awful as well. The titular shark man monster hybrid ridiculous creature is barely seen. You hardly see him in there at all. But somehow, despite this, despite its many and varied flaws, Hammerhead Shark Frenzy is somehow a riot of a film. Go watch it. Okay, so credit where it's due. Mako The Jaws of Death attempts to do something different. It flips the tried and tested formula on its head, and it succeeds in its goals to a certain extent. Painting mankind, painting humanity as the villains of this particular story, the sharks themselves are cast into the hero role, for want of a better term. It's a more environmentally conscious kind of film, but one which still has a ton of blood, guts and gore. So fed up with the reputation sharks have been given by mankind for all this time, and upon discovering that he shares a telepathic link with sharks, because of course he does, our lead human Sonny sets about righting some of the wrongs that his species, our species, have inflicted upon shark kind. Does he do this by education, ecology, conservation? Of course not. He achieves these goals with straight up brutal murder. This film as well differs from others in that rather than relying on rudimentary 70s kind of CGI or animatronics, it used actual footage of real life sharks, which lends a level of realism to the movie. This, coupled with the more thought-provoking, environmentally conscious premise, more than justifies this film's position on our list. Okay, so when your tagline is "Pray that you drown first," you know you're onto an absolute winner. So when their yacht capsizes in the middle of the ocean, a group of friends are left stranded with no immediate signs of salvation. Postulating that there may in fact be an island just off in the distance, they come to the grudging decision that it is best to just swim for it, and well, I don't really think I need to spell it out for you, do I? The cast is great, their performances do a terrific job of portraying the desperation, the fear of the situation they find themselves in. Real sharks are used once again, footage-wise, to great effect, and the cinematography is of a particularly high quality. Now, the stress, the suspense, the tangible sense of danger is palpable in the reef, and you'll actually find yourself holding your breath on more than one occasion here. Scary, desperate, visceral, beautiful. The Reef is a great example of a shark film you've probably never seen. So we made it, here we are, number one on the list, and it is of course Jaws. It's not, I'm kidding, it's not Jaws. No, it's Open Water. Now, based very loosely on real life events, Open Water sees a poor couple stranded in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean after having been forgotten on a scuba diving expedition. They're in the water, they're snorkeling away, and their boat just leaves and forgets them. Now, filmed with a handheld, shaky kind of camera for purely Blair Witch, related reasons, I dare say at this point, it just never really got the traction it arguably deserved upon release. Where this film differs from a lot on this list previously is the acting as well. The acting is top notch, it really, really is. But where it really shines, though, where this movie really stands out from others, is just the atmosphere, the tension, the suspense and the drama. Watching this poor couple, watching this couple go through this horrific ordeal, the realisation of the situation they're in, their desperation, their hunger, their exhaustion, having to take it in turns, in shifts to sleep. It's just gripping from start to finish. And speaking of finish, that ending. Now, no spoilers here, we wouldn't spoil it for you. Just do yourself a favour and go and watch Open Water. You won't regret it. So there you go, that was our list. What did you think? Have you seen any of these movies? If so, which ones? Let us know what you thought of them. Tell us below in the comments. Thanks for watching. As ever, leave us a like, be sure to subscribe, tell your friends, spread the word. Until next time, cheers, bye.